Hey guys, I'm danteferrigno and this is Ferrigno Freedom Channel. Welcome back. My channel is dedicated to my experience on a carnivore way of eating known as the lion diet. I've been doing it now for close to 3 years, and I'm back to do another reaction video today. I wanted to check out this video that I stumbled on by ASAP Science called "What If You Only Ate Meat?" Well, I kind of have an idea of what would happen if I only ate meat because I've been doing it for close to 3 years now, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. But let's see what ASAP Science has to say about it. By the way, this is Sam back here. He's a carnivore too, and he loves it. He loves having a carnivore owner because I give him wonderful good meat to eat on a regular basis. Bria and Fizgig, my other two dogs, are not in here right now, but they love to eat meat too. And even October, our little black cat, she loves to eat meat as well. They all seem to love it. Let's see what ASAP Science has to say about it. Let me put my headphones on real quick so I'm not competing with this microphone and computer here together, trying to fight over the sound.
2.5 million years ago, we first began to eat meat. Prior to that, our ancestors ate a vegan diet of berries and flowers, and only when early hominins began to eat more seeds and nuts, therefore taking in higher levels of fat and less fiber, did our bodies begin to adapt to handle meat. But what would happen now if you only ate meat? Without fiber-rich foods like lentils, beans, and broccoli,
I'll go back a little bit because I already got to address the first few words he said here. So we have a good knowledge of exactly what humans did 1.5 million years ago, do we? We barely know our history from 100 years ago, let alone 1,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, or 1,000,000 years ago. And all of this stuff that there's so much argument right now from good communities of people who are doing work in anthropology and geology and geography, what's the other one? Archaeology, where they're digging up stuff that just totally changes everything we already thought we knew, which is the way science is supposed to work. Science is supposed to allow us to look at things and to be critical of them, to try to attack our theories and our guesses about what happened with every possible means. But instead, a lot of these people like to just run with whatever their narrative says, whatever their ideology says, and this can go on both sides of the aisle. And this can go for me too. I mean, as a Christian, I don't think we've been around for millions of years myself. I think a lot of this stuff is wrong. I think a lot of the understanding we have of carbon-14 dating and things like that, when you go beyond a few thousand years, it doesn't even really apply, but we're still applying it to things that go way beyond that. There's so much conjecture in what we've done over the millions or thousands or whatever it is that we've been on this planet, that to say anything like that with certainty is really almost impossible. But when you go back and you look at cave drawings, things that were evidence of what early man was doing, regardless of how old they are, what are they doing? They're hunting animals. They're out in their groups with spears and bows and arrows or whatever they've got, taking down animals because that's what they were eating. Sure, they ate berries. Sure, they ate plants. Everybody ate a little of both, I believe, especially in early man. And I think they still do now. I just think what we've done to our modern vegetation and our modern fruits is just made them into Frankenstein food. That's one of the reasons I haven't reincorporated them back into my life. I'm not saying that they're not for anybody out there. But I will say that I agree with Dr. Chafee and what he talks about with what plants have as far as toxins go. Plant defense systems are toxic. They're things that keep you from eating them. Now, some plants want certain animals to eat them. Some plants want us to eat them because they want us to be able to spread their spore around, or they want bees to carry things around. But at the same time, they don't want to be destroyed. They want to live. They're fighting to live just like we are. Unlike animals who have teeth and claws to be able to defend themselves, plants use toxins. And if you don't get those toxins out of that food, those plants can be deadly. most plants are deadly. There's only a small number of plants that are not toxic enough for us to eat and get sick or die from eating. So I'm not so sure about this conjecture that he's making here. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he's wrong. But I do know that I do fine without eating any of those plants or berries or fruits.
Without fiber-rich foods like lentils, beans, and broccoli, you're gonna feel constipated and uncomfortable. Not to mention, the simplest way for your body to make energy is to convert carbohydrates into glucose. In the absence of
Wow, he's just rolling them out one after the other with things that are not true. I haven't had any fiber in 2 years and 10 plus months now. I started eating this way on January 14th, 2021. Today is November 23rd, 2023. I haven't eaten any fiber, and I still go to the bathroom just fine. The only time that I've ever had any issues with being able to go to the bathroom is depending on how much fat I do or don't get. If I don't get enough fat, the stools can be a little harder. If I get enough fat, the stools are just fine. If I get too much fat, they can be looser. So I just moderate my fat intake and everything's fine. And since this is a common question people ask me who are first-time viewers of the channel, I can go ahead and tell you now that I've been eating meat for nearly 3 years. I don't have constipation. However, before I started eating this way, I had constipation daily, eating a standard American diet. And I was already restricting carbohydrates in some ways. I didn't drink sodas anymore for years before I started eating this way. I had cut down on eating bread. I had tried to cut back on eating pasta. And I had reduced the amount of candies and things that I would normally take in. But I was still eating a little bit of that stuff. I was still eating a lot of fruits. I was drinking a lot of juices. And I was miserable in the mornings. Ever since I started eating this way, though, nothing but regular bathroom visits. When it comes to getting energy, however, your body is going to get energy from glucose, whether you consume it or whether or not your liver produces it. So it doesn't really matter. One way or the other, your body's going to get the glucose it needs for energy. But another thing happens when you're eating only meat, and that's especially early on when you have a lot of extra fat on your body will start producing ketones that your body can use for energy. And unlike glucose, where your cells need to get instructions from your insulin to take in glucose, and sometimes your body might be insulin resistant and won't allow you to take in that glucose, those ketones can get into that cell body and help that mitochondria have the energy it needs to be the powerhouse of the cell, to heal itself and to make the cell more structurally sound and reduce insulin resistance so that you can better process glucose that your body produces when you're only eating meat.
Your body will have to burn fat and break down important proteins. Creating glucose from protein is known as gluconeogenesis, and it occurs in the liver, creating a nitrogen waste that is converted into urea. Too much can lead to protein poisoning, which includes some lovely symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, and, potentially death. It's even been
Okay, let's go ahead and address that real quick, because I'm very familiar with gluconeogenesis, because I know that that's what my body's doing to produce a lot of the glucose, and my urea levels are high, but they're not a problem because I'm not having any signs of gout. I'm not having any issues like he's describing. I don't get any protein poisoning. I haven't gotten sick. As a matter of fact, when it comes to sickness, when my family, who does not do a strict carnivore diet like I do, when they get sick, when they get a cold, when they get a fever, I don't get sick. There have been times in the past where I used to, even early on in this way of eating. But lately, my family's gone through 2 bouts of some kind of severe coughing and sneezing and wheezing and all kind of stuff going on, and I didn't get a single thing. Sleeping right in the bed next to my wife every night for a week with her sick, I didn't get sick. Whereas prior to this way of eating, I used to be the first one to get sick when somebody brought something home. And then I would probably get sick again before it was all over, because by the time we traded it around a couple times, I got it a second time. Now, I hardly ever get sick.
recommended that if you only ate lean meat like rabbit, which has hardly any fat, you could eat and eat and eat and still end up wasting away. Another potential killer could be the lack of vitamin C. Humans
Before we go too far again, because he's going so fast, it's one of the things that I don't recommend doing is eating lean meat only. Your body needs fat. Your body wants fat for energy, for power, for your brain. Heck, your brain is mostly made of fat. I know a lot of you out there are thinking, I bet your brain's mostly made of fat, Dante. Well, so is yours. There is, as a matter of fact, 20% of it's cholesterol. And that's another thing that's usually made out to be the bad guy is cholesterol. My cholesterol numbers, by the way, are fantastic. The last time they checked them, my LDL was in the mid-90s, which for me is fantastic. I know the normal level is about 100, but even if it was higher than that, there's a lot of things that you need to research about LDL cholesterol to realize that it's been made out to be a boogeyman that it absolutely is not. Now, what is important when it comes to cholesterol is having a good HDL number. My HDL number is in the 80s the last time I checked. And what's also really important in your lipid panel are triglycerides. If you want to prevent against heart disease and other problems that cause that atherosclerotic plaque in your body, you got to cut down on the triglycerides. My triglycerides on my last blood panel were 37. My doctor was shocked because she knows I only eat meat, and this doesn't match what she's being taught. And I'm sure it doesn't match what he's being taught here, so I can understand why there's a misconception. And videos like this help me understand why so many people ask me the same questions over and over and over about triglycerides and cholesterol, and it's just not an issue. All right, let's go on to vitamin C. I already know where we're going with this. You're gonna get scurvy.
one of the few animals that aren't able to synthesize the vitamin on their own. Without easy access to vitamin C from fruits and veggies, your body will be unable to effectively create collagen, a structural protein found in your tendons, ligaments, and skin. This will put you at a high risk of scurvy and cause you to have poor wound healing, rotting gums, and personality changes.
Okay, I got to stop there because I know he's going to jump to something new real fast. As far as building collagen and tendons and skin, my skin has never been healthier. Right now, I've got a little bit of fuzz growing on my face and my hair is growing back a little bit because I'm changing jobs, and I thought I would take a quick peek at what my hair looks like. I've been shaving it now for close to a year all the way around. And, there's a lot of people out there who have even reported having their hair color come back or hair loss come back. And I had a bald spot for about 10 years. And so far, I notice it's still there, but I also noticed there's more hairs in the center of it that I didn't used to see there before. I didn't used to feel there anyway. I can't really see it yet. So I'm letting that grow out to check it out. But I used to have real bad rosacea that still comes and goes a little bit, especially with allergies that I've had for all my life. But as far as my skin goes, it has never been healthier. I don't get pimples. I don't have any problem with wound healing. As a matter of fact, I started using a glucose meter and a glucose and ketone meter to check my blood. And half the time, I got to do it twice because my wound heals up so fast, I can't even get the blood on the stick before it stops bleeding. So no issues with that. And by now, by the way, you would have found out if you had scurvy within a couple of months. I've been doing this for, 24 plus 10? That's 34 months that I've been doing an all-meat diet. And I haven't had anything close to scurvy. As a matter of fact, my teeth and gums have never been healthier. I hardly even ever have to brush my teeth. I have to remind myself to brush my teeth. And when I do, I only brush with water because I find that I don't have anything built up on there. I don't have bad breath or other problems that come from eating a lot of sugar.
Treated, you would die from infection or bleeding, but eating raw meat could be the way around this. The cooking of meat degrades most of the vitamin C, but raw, thick, chewy collagen-rich skin and blubber of whales can take in 36 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams serving, way more than the 10 milligrams needed to fight off scurvy. This brings us to an interesting case, shaped by low temperature.
By the way, one of the things that was a problem for sailors that used to get scurvy was they had a lot of dried meat. Eating fresh meat fixes the problem, even if you cook it. There's probably some truth to the raw meat having some health benefits to it, but it's just not something that I'm interested in pursuing. I just as soon cook my meat. I like it cooked. I like my steaks medium rare, and I'll even have a medium. I like my burgers to be cooked medium, and I love it. Haven't had any health problems in that area.
And a stark environment, a traditional Inuit diet consisted of what was hunted and fished with little, if any, plant food, dairy products, or carbohydrates. Despite this, cardiac death rates were half that of other Americans and Canadians. How can you be healthy on a fatty diet without any fruits and vegetables? You can snack on organ meat like liver to get your recommended vitamin A, which is vital for your eyes and bones, and vitamin D for your bones too, and oily fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids will benefit your heart and vascular system. Inuit bodies have adapted to manage gluconeogenesis by having larger livers and increased volumes of urine to get rid of the extra urea.
Okay, let's go back and address some of those things that he said there. This is a common thing that people on the carnivore way of eating will point out about how the Inuit diet kept them so healthy. But there's a lot of people who don't eat liver or organs on this diet, and they do very well as well. I don't eat organs very often. I do, however, occasionally eat them because I buy whole cows. I buy cows completely and then have them processed. So I usually either have the organ meats ground up into the hamburger, or like recently, I got the liver made separately, and I got the tongue, and I didn't get the kidneys this last time because this particular processor wouldn't give them to me, but I did get the heart, and I'll cook that up and eat it. But I'm eating one cow every 3 to 4 months, and I'm eating that amount of organs too, so I'm not eating a tremendous amount of liver like a lot of people might think. I'm definitely not eating it raw. I am eating it very rare though. I love my liver very rare. However, I'm also not eating a lot of fish. As a matter of fact, I don't eat any fish. Prior to this diet, I was diagnosed as being allergic to fish, which was kind of a good news for me because I always wanted to have an excuse not to eat fish when everybody wanted me to eat fish. I never liked it anyway. But I found out that I do have a reaction to fish. Strangely, not shellfish, but I don't eat shellfish either because I eat ruminant animals. I eat animals that are designed with their multi-chambered stomachs to remove all the plant toxins from the foods that they eat. And these animals only eat plants so that they're able to actually process that plant material and make their meat healthy and clean. Unlike other animals that eat everything like pigs do and chickens do, I have incorporated some eggs with no problems. As long as they're not grain-fed eggs, as long as they're pasture-raised eggs, I've done very well. But I don't eat any fish, and my omega-3s have not been an issue. I do eat grass-fed beef, and I find that that gives me an advantage in the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio compared to what you would usually get when you're eating regular store-bought beef. But I haven't had any problems with any of these things that he's talked about. All of my blood panels show that I'm in great shape as far as all that goes. I do have more urine going on. I have to go to the bathroom a lot, but I was doing that before this, and I thought that was just something that came with age, but it hasn't really changed all that much. I'm hoping to see it. Maybe that even that could improve. I've had other carnivores say that they've increased their flow by sticking with a good carnivore way of eating. So that's something I'm actually hopeful to see reverse. But I would say I haven't seen any real big changes there, bad or good.
Urea. A recent genetic study investigated the genome of Greenland Inuit and found a selection for variants that create a protective effect against cholesterol and triglycerides. So it is possible to thrive on only meat, but it's important to remember that northern communities have relied on animal food out of circumstance and necessity. Their high-fat diet was intended to keep weight on for days of hunting, and when food was insecure, not lose weight like modern low-carb diets. Unless you're planning on eating raw whale blubber, organ meat, and have genetics on your side, consider sticking to a balanced diet of all the major food groups.
All right, that's enough of that. Well, I think I've addressed everything that needs to be addressed as far as this video goes, because there's a lot of misinformation in there. There's a lot of just repeating what others have said, and it's the same nonsense that many people in the carnivore community have been hearing for a very long time. And there are stories after stories after stories. You know, when you've got a few dozen people, maybe you've got some anecdotal evidence to what this carnivore way of eating can do. But when you've got the hundreds and hundreds and perhaps even thousands of people now, I've had hundreds alone on my small channel that have told me that changing to a carnivore way of eating has changed their lives for the better, that they've been able to do similar things to what I've been able to do. I got rid of high blood pressure. I got rid of low testosterone. I got rid of the GERD issues that I was having. I don't have to take any more medicines that my doctor used to prescribe. I thought I was at that point in my life where I was going to have to go see the doctor every 3 months to get my prescriptions refilled, just like my residents used to be at the retirement home I was the administrator of. And I thought, this is just what happens. But, I think that's what a lot of us get into, because that's what Big Pharma and Big Food have pushed us into, is a situation where we feel like we're just going to get sicker and awful as we get older, and it simply doesn't have to be. A carnivore way of eating has changed everything for me. It can change everything for you. It's worth giving it a shot. Go back and check out my very first video that I ever did, 125 days on Lion Diet. I even talked about it there, where I was only planning on doing this for 6 weeks because I wanted to see if I could reverse a problem in my gut that doctors didn't have any answers for. Not only did it solve my gut problem, it has solved every health problem I've had. I'm back down below my high school wrestling weight. I've lost close to 100 pounds, over 100 pounds from my highest weight ever, and I feel better at age 51 than I did when I was age 17. So all I can say is if this is the truth, then I must be the exception. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of exceptions out there, and I think if you look at the evidence, you're going to be convinced. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll see you next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?